So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hey everybody, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast on a wonderful Sunday afternoon as Villa get ready to take on Burnley in the Premier League at Turf Moor today. Big travelling Villa contingent, it seems. Everything I've seen on Twitter this morning just seems to be people going to the game. So that's going to be fantastic. Nice little ground, nice little compact ground, Turf Moor is. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. I mean that in a kind of a traditional football way. And, there should be lots and lots of... I suppose atmosphere there, and hopefully it's the Villa fans that are bringing the atmosphere, because it is Villa that will be hopefully in the ascendancy in this game, but not a game whereby I'm expecting us to go and completely and utterly boss it. This Burnley team are a decent team with a decent manager and a lot of good young players, so we do obviously have to bear that in mind. Paddy has just popped on. Paddy, how's things?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. An early start for you this morning. You to travel half the length of Ireland this morning.
Things you do for your kids.
Things you do for your kids. Yeah.
And then I had a wonderful company of driving them all the way home while he slept. So, not a great start to the day, but I'm hoping Villa are going to make that somewhat better. But looking forward to it now.
It's just don't make them like I used to, Paddy, huh?
No,
sleeping on the way home. No, when you do the crime, you got to do the time, don't you? You got to sit there and you got to make conversation with your parents in the drive home, don't you? That's what you got to do. That's the penance for it.
Instead, I caught up with all of the other wonderful Aston Villa podcasts on my way down, so it wasn't a bad morning. Let's put it that way. So, I was kept company by a lot of our old friends that sit in the same position as we do and talk shite about football. So it's all good.
It's hopefully some of them that we'll be seeing on the 9th of September as well for our live podcast in Dublin. But less of the about us and more about this game today. The more and more as we approach kickoff, Paddy, I think it's absolutely nailed on, absolute certainty that Nicola Zaniolo will be somewhere in and around this squad. Obviously, I'm hoping he starts. Whether he does or not, obviously it's too early to know. But when did he sign? What day did he sign? Is he signed?
Signed last
week.
He signed 8 days or 9 days. He signed on the Friday. They didn't announce it till Friday night, so he was Friday evening. So he will definitely be in around the squad today. Like you say, I would like to see him start. I don't envisage he will. I just want to see him get on the pitch at some stage and show us what he's made of. Because
I think it's I think it's nailed on. We'll see him at some stage. Genuinely, I'd nearly scrap the conversation about anything if he wasn't in the squad, and I'd ask why the hell he isn't in the squad. That kind of that's how much I'm looking forward to seeing the team sheet and his name on it today. Look, obviously, I suppose the other pieces, will it be Robin Olsen? Will it be Emi Martinez?
Well, that's the big one, isn't it? Well, let me give you my little tuppence worth on this one.
Yeah.
If there's ever going to be any day for it to be Robin Olsen, and bear in mind that we have Liverpool next weekend, I'm okay with him starting today. Put him in today, let him play, let him get minutes, let him play on Thursday night, and ensure that we have a fully fit Emi Martinez in time for a high-pressing Liverpool next weekend. That's my opinion on it. I won't be losing any sleep or any worries if he's in goal today. It is what it is. We just got to get behind him.
Yeah. C Lion is saying that we could see him start if Bailey is out injured per Twitter rumours. There's rumours going. I saw them myself today that there's rumours going around that Bailey is injured. I suppose there was nothing mentioned about Bailey in the press conference in the press conference on Friday about his injury, unless he got injured in training yesterday. I know he went off with some discomfort against Hibs, but there was no mention at all. There was no mention on that and the injury sheet either about him. It was only Martinez and Zaniolo in that sheet. I don't know. We tend to seem to get these for away games all the time. Someone is injured, or someone didn't travel, or something happened, or there was a bug in the team, or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that he is injured, though. For sure. Paul Miller. I had to laugh at this one. Paul Miller. So I was on Spaces on Friday night, and I jumped into a Burnley space. Wonderful set of guys actually on the Turf Cast. Good guys. I been speaking to them for the last 18 months, 2 years, good friends of theirs. And I just happened to see that they were going live. I wanted to listen to what they were doing on a Twitter Spaces. So I popped in, and at the very end, I requested to speak. And because there was kind of a narrative within the conversation that Villa are going to be naive, they're going to rotate, and we're going to hit them, and we're going to win the game because they're going to be naive, they're going to underestimate us. And I wanted to pop in and say, guys, genuinely, we can't rotate in certain areas because we don't have enough players. That's the long and the short of it. So I popped in, and I was told that what's your man's name, Benson, is going to score. He's going to take a shot, and there's no goalkeeper in the world who will be able to save it. And I just had to question him. I'd say, so what you're telling me is that Benson is one of the most world-class players. Like, he is one of the top players in the world. No keepers can save his shot. And I said, because I can say the exact same thing about Diaby, and neither of the two of us are right. And it was nice. It was cordial. It wasn't a joke or anything like that. But it was actually a really nice space. And but that was funny. And I know Paul was in there. That's why I'm highlighting this comment here. Matt Hanlon said as well, thank you so much. Points for podcasters. Best of all, and up the Villa. Thanks, Matt. Again, really, really appreciate that. We're nearly have the team sheet coming out at the moment. Just going to come to some of your comments there as well. Michael Hogan says, hard game today. We must be respectful. I think we have to be respectful in any away game. And the reason being is because it's just kind of come to light recently. Well, it's always been there, but everyone seems to be repeating the statistic that Villa haven't won their last 5 away games. So until we can prove that we can put back-to-back away games together. Now, I know those away games were against like Liverpool, Newcastle, and so on, but still, you have to start putting away games together to be confident when you do go away. But we saw a predicted lineup today for Burnley, Paddy. I shared it on to you, and put it this way: I'm going to keep my powder dry. But if that is the lineup that comes out today, boy, I'm going to look forward to the midfield. Our midfield. I'm going to look forward to what our midfield can do against that. But anyway, as I said,
I'm honestly more worried about what we put out today. I think that's the most important thing. I think if we're at full strength and at full tilt, we will win today and win today easy. But let's see what card we're dealt today, and we'll make it our predictions then. Let's say.
Exactly, and Bog the Villain makes a good point here. Is he predicts Zaniolo will start because he can't play on Thursday? That isn't a bad shout either. Specifically, if there is a query over Bailey, Zaniolo comes in, Bailey maybe gets the last 20 minutes, half an hour. Maybe John Duran comes on and we go with 2 up top, or maybe he brings on Matty Cash or Callum Chambers or somebody and the like, and we go that way. Teams are out, Paddy. We have a starting 11, and we have Robin Olsen is in goals. Konza, Diego Carlos, Pau Torres, and Dina make up the back line. Cash is in midfield with Kamara, Douglas, and McGinn, Diaby, and Watkins. So what I was just saying there might happen on 60 minutes has happened from the start, where Matty Cash has come in to play at right wing, playing right midfield. And potentially what this probably looks like is, I'd say a lot of the game here we're going to be in 3 at the back mode. For this game, I think it just lends us to be able to try it, because there's enough in that back three to be able to cope with it. But different is what I would say. Different. The bench. There's still 2 goalkeepers on the bench. Philip Marshall and Ali Zich on the bench, with Tielemans, Traore, Chambers, Zaniolo, Duran, and Bailey. I must say that's an incredibly attacking bench. And it goes to show once again, we've only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players named in the bench. So, like, anyone who's telling me that we won't be signing players, and I mean plural, as in 2 at least this week, I think you're probably telling porcupines. Well, I think there are 2 players needed anyway.
I think we'd all be very upset if there was no player signed this week, because we are very light, especially in the attack, not in attacking options, but specifically now in striking options. So that the ability to bring in somebody to play as a lone striker in place of Ollie Watkins is now effectively off the table. unless we're going to play Zaniolo or Diaby in there, which who knows what Emery might do. But there's no way we're sitting here next week going into the Team C Tantrum for Liverpool with the same amount of players that we have out there today. There's going to be absolutely something cooking early this week.
Yeah, it's look, it's one of the few times I think under Unai Emery where we've been blindsided by one or two picks there. I suppose realistically the cash pick here is, and when I say blindsided, it's not like he's not telegraphed it before. He's done it before. You know, he did it with Cash and with Young last season, albeit in mid game. I'm not quite sure if he ever started with that formation, but look, it makes sense. And look, it probably does go that Bailey had a small bit of a knock, and they're probably just keeping him honest, or keeping him in cotton wool a small little bit. If he's needed to be brought on, I'm sure he'll be brought on. Same with Zaniolo, same with Traore, same with any of the guys there on the bench. Albeit, I don't think we're going to see Ali Zic at any stage, because that would be travesty stuff. Because that would mean Olsen and Marshall got injured. And I don't think we'll see that. But everybody else, I think, in the bench has a potential of coming on. And like of the 6 outfield players there, I expect to see probably 5 of those come on. That's the strange thing about it. That's why when you've got 2 goalkeepers on the bench and you've got 6 subs, 5. I suppose when you think about it, when you look at it and you go, oh yeah, he could have named X amount of subs on the bench. Yeah, but he can only bring on 5. And I know it gives you options, but essentially the only option we don't have here is, well, it's a case of if Dini gets injured, Konza goes into centre half, Cash goes back to right back, and you probably bring on Bailey or Zaniolo at some stage, or Traore, so it's we're covered. We're covered is what I'm saying in positions that if we need to make swaps and changes, and it shows that Unai Emery is comfortable. Albeit, I'd like to have more options. Don't get me wrong. I'd like to have more options, specifically in defence on the bench, because Callum Chambers will likely see game time today.
You would imagine
so. Thing either. Yeah.
No, and look, hopefully we're in a situation that that the game is done and dusted. Like no matter what way you look at it, that's a very strong, solid in attack, solid in defence midfield. There's nothing we should be worrying about here unless Burnley have made a few signings that I didn't know about since this morning. But you'll frantically be pulling up the Burnley team there, and we'll have a look and see if there's any surprises in that one.
Yeah, I don't expect too many surprises in the Burnley team. It is out, and it's different. It is different to what I saw today. So once again, they've gone in numerical order, which
of course
everybody knows it's my book. Well, 2 book bearers. The one where you've got the image, and then when you click on it, it brings you to a full website article for it, and then asks you to sign up to their website. That annoys the living Jesus out of me. And then also going in numerical order, I find it lazy. So Trafford and goals, very good goalkeeper. Darragh O'Shea, who myself and Paddy are very familiar with, along with Josh Cullen, start for Burnley today. So it's going to be O'Shea, Al-Dakhil are going to be the 2 centre halves. They're Roberts and where am I going to here? I'm lost. Roberts probably Foster maybe might be in there as they're kind of attacking like.
Yeah, it's not like they. Obviously, Man City was completely different when they played a 5 at the back, and it was a solid 5 at the back, where they had Roberts, O'Shea, and Boyer, who isn't even in the squad, is he?
Boyer isn't even in the squad there. Yeah, he isn't even in the squad.
And is Vitinho in the squad? He's not.
Vitinho is in the squad. I was expecting him to play a left back.
Yeah.
Now, maybe Cagliosho is there at left. Like it's interesting here to see what way they do this, because they're going to play somebody unless it's O'Shea, El-Dakhil, and Roberts are the 3 centre halves. And then you're looking at, because what you're going to look at then maybe is I'm trying to figure it out here. Then what you're going to look at then is Foster is going to be on the right hand side somewhere along the line, and then you're probably going to have Cagliosho on the left hand side at some stage. Then midfielders, look, yeah, maybe that's what they're going with midfielders of Cullen, Delacroix, and Burge in middle of midfield, and Amdouni up front. I think that's probably what I would go with. slightly educated on it. Oh, Benson is in there somewhere as well. Benson would be in midfield as well. He'd probably be on the right hand side.
So
Or maybe
what my so-called expert who sends me a synopsis while we're on Team Sheet Tantrum for
Delcroix has probably gone in centre half, I would say, actually, instead of Roberts. So that makes it a back five.
He has Delcroix left back, Roberts at right back, Dakiel and O'Shea in the centre, Berge and Cullen sitting, and then three in behind the striker of Foster on the right, Benson in the middle, Colliosho, and then
MD. That makes more sense. Makes
So-
more sense than Roberts going in, make it a 3 because interesting. I always thought Delcroix was like a defensive midfielder / centre half type. That's where, because he was with Anderlecht with what's in company as well. He was at Anderlecht, Belgian international as well. Won a Belgian cap some time ago. Which is always interesting.
Anyway, they're a whole new shooting match for us here today. Like, there's a lot of names there that I couldn't tell you one single thing about, to be honest. No matter how much homework you do, we only got to see them in one game against Man City, and that's not really a good starting point for anybody coming up out of the Championship. So they were probably happy enough to get that out of the way, and then get their 2 weeks to work on this one. They'll be coming into this game fresh, albeit I don't think they will have enough to take anything off us today, and I'm expecting us to win. And I'm going to go, same as last week, I'm going to go 3-0, I think.
You're going to go Villa 3-0? I like the one thing I would say about this Burnley team is, like, you've got Colliosho there who is 18. You've got Ezeki Amdouni who's 22. Both of them are playing in their second Premier League game ever. Delacroix is playing in his second Premier League game ever. I think his first Premier League game, should I say, that he's ever played. You've got Foster in there as well. I'm just trying to check to see what age he is, because I don't know what age Foster is. What I'm getting at here is they're a very, very young team, and that's not to say that Foster's 22. Signed with Burnley last season out of Westerlo, South African international. But like, what I'm getting at here is that there's one or two ways you can look at that. Is the exuberance of youth will carry them through, and they won't be scarred by anything that's happened to them in their career previously. Or you could look at it this way as well, that if you get people down at them quickly, do they have the experience to be able to change the way they play, or are they still playing on natural talent? Natural talent, unfortunately, unless you're Lionel Messi, natural talent leads you to make mistakes due to if you trust your natural talent all the time, every single time that you go out in the field, you will make mistakes because you won't be experienced in how to rectify it or change your style of play if you just continually go to what comes naturally to you. So look, it's that's very philosophical, but the team that they have out there is young. That's why they've brought in the likes of Sander Berge in there. That's why they've got a Berge. That's why they've got Josh Cullen in there. If they do go with a 2-man midfield in there, which it looks like that they are going with, they're the two I would like them to go with in the middle of that midfield, because while Josh Cullen is industrious, he's not the fastest man in the world.
No, and that's where we can go and get something. That's where we're going to get our change today from that midfield. I think we just will boss it in that position against the three guys who are there. Obviously Cullen and Berge, and it'll be one of the other dropping in there to try and help out. But I think we'll overrun them there. I think we'll get the ball out wide to Cash and Dean, and we'll exploit them like we did Hibs the other night. I think there'll be plenty of balls played in behind the back, like Luca Dean did. Probably with less time on the ball than he did the other night, but again, he will get them in there.
A lot is made about Burnley's press and the Burnley press and Manchester City team. Just because you're a team that presses like lunatics doesn't like, how am I going to say this? You can be a busy fool is the phrase that will come to mind, And don't get me wrong, this isn't me criticizing their press or anything. They're bloody brilliant at it. They're really good. But there's ways past a press, specifically a high press. And they're going to play a high press up there with Benson, with Koleosho, and with who do we say was the other person that was going to be in behind it? Foster. They're going to play a high press up there. They're going to be all over Pau Torres when he has the ball. That's fine. They're going to be all over Boubacar Kamara when he has the ball. That's fine. Villa have seen that already. They've seen it already against Newcastle. You know, it's how Villa have learned from that. They saw it all last year. It wasn't as if teams didn't press us high last year in our run-in either. You know, Liverpool pressed the Jesus out of us at times. It's happened to us. Brighton pressed us last year. You know, Villa and the reason I keep on coming back to this midfield is the way to play through a high press is pass quickly into the middle of midfield. Because what that'll do is that's going to keep one of those three players that play behind the striker. It's going to keep them honest. It means they're going to have to go backwards as well as forwards. Of course. And that's I just see that's going to happen. Now we may concede early against Burnley and it completely changes the dynamic of the game for sure. But Villa, I think, are still going to go out here to put their foot in the ball, to try and keep that ball, to play it back. I'm nervous about the whole playing it back to Olsen. Obviously, I don't need to explain that anymore. But I still think that Villa here can go through the middle against this team. And I think we should expect to go through the middle. And also, I still don't see Cash being on the right-hand side being a hindrance from us going wide either, because I essentially see us setting up in a back three today. It'll be called what it'll be called, and we'll see us regress into a 4 when we're out of possession. That's fine. But today, Matty Cash will see a lot of time past the halfway line when we're in possession, and that's just a fact.
Neil, there's a lot of people asking you to take down that team, and just before you do, I'm going to ask you that question, and I already know the answer. Is there anybody in that team that gets into our team?
Is there anybody in that team that gets into our team?
Actually, the one we haven't mentioned is
Aaron Ramsey's on the bench. You missed that. Aaron Ramsey is on the bench. Yeah.
So like they have some let's say experience on the bench with Brownhill, Rodriguez, Redmond.
I thought Brownhill will start. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing Koleosho. He's an interesting character in that. Like, he's played in La Liga. He played underage for America, then changes allegiance to Italy, and is now pledged to play for Canada. So at a young age, he's been through an awful lot in his career, considering he's only 18 years of age. So it'll be interesting to see, because there's obviously great hope for him, and they somehow beat off a good amount of people in getting a signature. So it'll be an interesting one.
You asked me, I never answered it. On the 11 that we see here, James Trafford probably gets in. That's we're not having to go. Based on his under 21 performances, he was really good.
And look, I completely would have just assumed that it would be up against Emi Martinez, but on our 11, I agree that is the one that would make it in there.
Yeah. For those of you looking for me to put up the Aston Villa team, should have been here in time. I'm joking. But here it is again. It's Olsen, Konza, Diego Carlos, Pau Torres, and Digne make up the back line. Cash is in midfield, it looks like, with Kamara, Douglas Luiz, McGinn, Diaby, and Watkins. So for me, I think that's going to be a 3-5-2 pseudo somewhere along the lines there, whatever way you think they're going to set up. But I think we're going to see an awful lot of Cash in that kind of right midfield role. Because having those three centre halves, I don't expect to see Konza whipping. Put it this way, I don't expect to see Konza overlapping Cash, whipping balls in from the byline.
No, absolutely not.
He looked so out of place against Hibs. Was it Hibs? Oh, maybe it was Everton. Actually, I think it was against Everton. He looked so out of place at one stage. He was right up on the corner of their box. And the ball came to him. The ball was shifted out to him, and I was like, I'd forgotten that he had moved out to right back. I was like, holy Jesus, what's going on here? And he just, number 4 just looked weird being out there. It just looked weird. Yeah.
I did put up Stato's comment there that this could be Robin Olsen's 100th clean sheet. It was clean sheet, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It's, al-
clean sheet.
it's, al-
Yeah.
it's also Matty Cash's 100th appearance for the club. So congratulations, Matty Cash, on joining the 100 club. And hopefully it's a successful one for both of them. And he gets his 100th clean sheet. And Matty Cash has a good game in a new advanced role.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. We never like, here's where we go. Matty Cash finds his left foot again and pings one in the top corner, because we know when he plays that, when he gets up to around the box and there's no options for him and the ball happens to fall on his left foot. He did it against Everton, a couple of years ago. It's that's how he scores goals.
There's a couple of people asking in the comments there what channel this is on as well. It's actually not on TV, because some people are saying it's on Sky and whatever.
Oh.
Depending on where you are in the world, you get it on Super Sport South Africa, you get it on beIN Sports. Someone will tell us usually Peacock in America, isn't it?
Peacock, yeah.
So anyway, it's not on Sky Sports, just in case you lose 5 minutes looking for this later on and miss the first 5 minutes of the game. But that is the situation, unfortunately.
Yeah. And like Sam says here, just in case, controversial, but Olsen is a decent enough player. I think we all agree he's a decent enough goalkeeper. I think when the question was asked who gets into our team best on the starting 11, I just think James Trafford is better. Olsen isn't very good at his feet at passing the ball out, so I think that's the concern that we would have, that a lot of us have with him. And obviously he's rooted to his line too, so he has his deficiencies. He blocked Pebbles in that international game recently. He absolutely he was unbelievable.
The best I've ever seen him play, anyway, for sure. Look, I think, and we haven't even mentioned it, the Cameron Archer leaves the club today. Aaron Ramsey left during the week. There's talks of Philogene Badace going. All of these things are happening, and these things are happening because we need to up our game and we need to up the level of the people we have in backup. All good moves for the club with the buyback clauses and whatever. Yeah, we know that. So it's going to be interesting to see if we get through this week and Olsen is still the backup goalkeeper. I know he has said that is the case, and he obviously has faith in him. So, look, fingers crossed. I'd love to see him turn a corner and turn the page on what has been in the past. Unfortunately, he came on at half-time against Hibs the other night, and it was immediately stuck to his line, and it absolutely put the shits up everybody. And it put us on the back foot for the first 5 minutes of the second half, and it was the only purple patch that Hibs had in the whole game.
Paddy, after getting a tweet there from Alan O'Reilly in Carlow. Look at this for a setup. Cinema room with us on the big screen. My God, I'd be surprised if there wasn't a big crack down the middle of that screen from our two ugly mugs after putting that up there, Alan. That's amazing.
I wonder if Alan let us borrow that big screen for a live show in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice to have up on stage as well. That would be nice to have up on stage as well. Anybody want to pop in their score predictions, and we'll do a quick score roundup before we finish up? I haven't said what I'm going for. Did I say what I was going for? I think I said 2-0 in the pre-match. Aston, I think I said, or did I say 2-1? I think I said 2-0. I'm going to stick with 2-0. I'm not confident we're going to keep a clean sheet. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't want to be flip-flopping around my scores either, so I'm going to stay with a 2-0. I do think that our midfield, though, if they line out like I think they are with only those two guys in midfield, I think there will be gaps. I think there's spacing between Cullen and Berger and Benson, Koleosho and Foster. I think there's going to be gaps there that John McGinn is going to live in. Diaby then is going to live in between the other two guys there in the that are playing the double pivot, and I think that's how Villa are going to get joy out of this, because if their press is rabidly high, which it has been all through the course of the Championship last season, and they did press really well up top against Manchester City. If McGinn retreats and kind of just lives in that area between Cullen and Berger and Benson, that's how you beat the press. You pass through it and you get them turned, because no matter who you are, if you're a player who is to turn around and has to make up at least 3 or 4 steps, you're lost. You're lost in the Premier League. You really are. And they're fast people. All those 3 people, Koleosho, Foster and Benson, they're all really fast and they're all really good technical footballers. But if you have to get turned, you're goosed, regardless of who you are. And that's why a lot of people think Pau Torres is slow. It's because 90% of the time that people get down the side of him, and that's an issue, I think, really with regards to communication with the players, because he's so new. Because if somebody gets down the side of you again as a centre half, you've only like 5 yards to make up an extra yard or two on somebody, and that just doesn't happen unless you've got legs that are 14 foot long. It just doesn't happen. So I think you can make people look slow that way. When you get into those positions. Before you
start your roundup, Neil, I have to love you and leave you because I have to go and catch a bus in to meet the Munster Lions. But somebody's asking in the comments about streams. Please do not put streams in the comments for us. We end up getting into trouble, not you. And it would be greatly appreciated if you didn't do that.
Yeah, please don't put any streams in there. Yeah, because we get taken down off YouTube. Anyway, let's go for Villainous Senses 4-0 Villa with Watkins, Brace, Diaby and Zaniolo. KK says 3-0 Villa. Sean Green says 1-1. Dico Blanco says 3-1. Zhaoling Ma says 6-0. Pajos Mashup says 2-1. Dave Bond says 4-0. Brazilian Villain says 2-1 Villa. Sai says dangerously, I'll say 3-1 to us. Dream Villain says 4-0. Josh Dunn says 2-2. Paul Miller says 3-1. Jack says 2-1. Mike Kane says 2-1. Matt Hannon says 2-1 Villa. 2 Cash 666 says 4-1 to the Mighty Villains. Rachel Into Lewis says 2-1 Villa. Rich Burton says 3-1 Villa. Gazok says 2-1. Lord Super Astro says 2-1 Aston Villa. Junior says 2-0 Villa. Anglin says 3-1 Villa with Diaby and Zaniolo. Shooting Tweed says 2-1. Michael Huggins says 2-0. Michael Richards says 2-1 to us. Whisper of the Heart says 2-1. Jerry Garrity says 2-1 Villa. Richard Edwards says 3-0 Villa. Jean Man comes back and says 3-0. Connor says 3-1. Sniffrat says 2-1. Mark Mitchell says 2-1. Mr. Sensible says 2-1 Villa. Christopher Cummins says 2-0. Watkins double. Jean Man once again with the 3-0. Cow Gaming in with his customary GA score of 14 points to 217, which would mean Aston Villa would win. Michael O'Brien says 4-1 to Villa. C Sully 5 says 2-1 to Villa. Johnny Villain says 4-0. Oliver McGrath says 3-0. Be Happy says 3-0. Dan Good says 3-1. Brown Rob says 2-0. Western Nude says 3-1. Class T says 2-0, 3-0. Matthew Lang says 2-1. Mark Holmes says 3-1 to Villa. Ollie McGinn and Louise with a penno. Pepper Wings the Game Cat says 3-1. Can't see Burnley scoring 1-0. 2-0 Villa. 3-1 says Audrey. 2-1 says Brendan Townsend. 1-1 says Reece Evans. He's been cautious. I want that one click. Josh Dunn says 2-2. James Carr says 3-1. Zaniolo getting the score sheet. Dusty says 2-0. Luke Sever says 2-2. Caroline Collins says 3-1 to the Villa. Norby last 10 minutes and Noel Connaughton won't be happy with Olsen. That's a given anyway. Daniel Hobson says 2-0 Villa. CC says 2-0. I'd like Olsen to get his clean sheet, but honestly, I haven't a clue what the score will be, as they're such an unknown to me. 3-1 says Jason Dowling. Patrick Hopkins says 3-3 draw. Jordan Levy says 3-1 Villa. Rob Henry says squeaky 2-1 Villa or even a 2-2 draw. 5-0 Villa says Marine Boy. Top G's FIFA Gaming says 4-0 Villa. Michael Smith says tough 1-1 draw. Richard Edwards says Diaby 1, Watkins 1, and Zaniolo 1. I presume that's 3-0 to Villa. Wayne AVFC says 3-1 Villa. Where are we? 2-1 Villa says Salubri said. 2-2 says Sarazi. Carlo Weather says 3-1 to Villa. Spicy Pricey says 3-0. Habs Ratman says I'll take 1-0 Villa. Banana skill potential. There's shades for anybody who's an Irish fan. There's a shades of Steve Staunton when he was Irish manager, saying San Marino were a potential banana skill there in that one. Not that Burnley and San Marino are of similar aptitude, but just when you said banana skin potential, I think it's burnt into every Irish fan's mind. Nicky Cullen says 3-0 Villa. Matt D says 2-1 Villa. AVFC Watsy says 3-0 Villa. Josh Whitlock says 4-1. Fake the Funk 78 says 2-0 Villa. Diaby the Goat says 3-0 Zaniolo goal. Really Random Review says 3-1 Villa. Ronan Farrell says 1-1. R. Galinski says 2-1 Villa. Dorian FN says 2-1 Villa. Bogdan says 2-0. Subbone Gamer says 3-1. Josh Whitlock says 3-1 again. I think I read that one out before. Jack says 3-1 Villa. Carlos Pereira Vanquez Canuck says 0. Canuck Villain says 3-1. We're coming down to some people putting them in again the second time. Andrew Walling says 6-0 Villa. Brendan Gillespie says 2-1 Villa. Jordan Pilgrim says 4-2 Villa. Paul Johnson says 0-0 Villa. View from the stand says a clean sheet. Shane Coleman says 3-0. Sam Dixon says 8-0. And Really Random Review says 3-1, and that's it. I think. Jordan, yeah, you were in there already. Jack says 3-0 Villa. Jack finishes it out with a 3-0 Villa. Savas Veli, go on, I'll give it to you this one. Villa scoring, free scoring Villa, 10 in 3 games, 2-0 Villa. That's what we'll finish on there. Excellent stuff, everybody. I think we're the ones of 600 people in the podcast there at one stage are joining us. Likes, subscribes. If you do like us, just hit that like button. Also subscribe to us. If you're able to chat inside here, that means that you've signed into YouTube. Just hitting that thumbs up button really, really helps us out. We're on the charge to 7,000 subs. And then after that, guess what? We'll be on the charge to 8,000. And after that, we'll be on the charge to 9,000 and so on. So anything you do to help us will really help us. And also on the audio podcast, even if you don't listen to them, if you have an audio podcast account, whether it be on Apple Music or whether it be on Spotify or whatever, just subscribe to the podcast. Once again, it throws the algorithm in hoops and it pushes us out to everybody to try and grow our community. Costs you nothing to do it. And we would just, we'd love it. We'd appreciate it if you could do that for us. So I'm going to leave everybody at that. I'm looking forward to this game. I really, really am. I think it's going to be a nice game of football, and I think that Villa will prevail. I hope Villa will prevail. And if anybody is watching this that's at the game today, I hope you sing your guts up because atmosphere at grounds, specifically away grounds, is big for the away team when they're there. And let's make our voices heard. Thank you so much to everybody who's in the chat here. I will be back right on the final whistle with a post-match podcast. So come back and join us here. The link is already up there. And I will also be chatting to Dan Ronaldson at some stage this afternoon. I think it's at 4:30, just on the game too. Also, if you're looking for anybody that does watch-alongs for these games, there's a couple of them out there. AVFC Stato is doing a watch-along as well, and View from the Stands, I think, normally does watch-alongs as well. So, help out all the rest of the guys that are there in the Villa community. That's what it's all about. We're all Villa fans. None of us are competing with each other, and we all want Villa to succeed. So, thanks so much, everybody, for your time today, more so than anything else. I hope you stay safe, you stay healthy, and until next time, until the final whistle, all that's left to say is up the Villa.